Welcome to the hardware demo part. First, just have a quick look around the screen. On the top left, you've got the MIDI monitors. To the right is my Roland A500 Pro controller. And then just down to the left of that is the Novation circuit. So we're going to use this Roland controller to send an RPN or an NRPN message to the circuit. And down below, or just to the right of me, is a bit of document info just to help you remember what we're talking about as we're going through. Yeah, let's get stuck straight into it. Okay, so in order for us to do a NRPN message, what we need to do is we need to consult the device's documentation. In this case, we're going to use the Novation circuit. So let's have a look at the programmer's reference, which is published by Novation on the circuit. And in the first video, we showed an example where we looked at chorus type as an NRPN message. So I've just got this highlighted here. We're going to stick to this because it just makes things simple for us at this stage. But you can see the way the table works, the column parameter tells you what parameter you're changing. The second column, it tells you whether it's a CC message or an NRPN. The control number is the next column, and the range, okay? And also you've got default value. So let's go back down to our chorus type. We know that it's an NRPN, and because it's an NRPN, we get this weird looking format where you'll see 1:24 in this particular example. Now normally MIDI CCs will just have a number like MIDI CC 13 or 91, as you can see above, but in this case it's got 1:24. This is what a lot of people get confused about, and this is why a lot of people don't touch NRPNs, because they think it's just too hard. But let me show you how easy this really is. The next column is the value range, 0 to 1. In this case, it's just setting either 0, which is phaser because it's the chorus type, or it's setting 1 to the chorus. So what we want to do is we want to plan on using our controller, and I think we'll go with a pad. And if we can have the pad toggle so that we press it, it turns on, it sets the value to 1, which would be chorus in this example, and we turn it off, it would set the value to 0, which would be phaser. And I think that's handy to have that sort of visual feedback. So what we're going to do is go back to our Mac desktop, and I'm going to bring up the Roland A Pro editor, and you can see down the bottom there's the A Pro editor. We're going to click on this pad here, which is A5, which is the top left hand corner of the pads. At the moment, it's not assigned to anything. So let's type something here. We're going to call this chorus type, and we're going to give it a channel message because NRPNs are actually channel messages, and we're going to type of channel message is NRPN. At the moment, we're just going to play with MIDI channel 1, remembering that the Novation circuit actually has more than one MIDI channel. Now remember before we had those crazy values, right, where it was just here 1:24. That makes it so easy for you to data entry this. It means the first one is 1, the next one is 24, and the minimum value is 0, and the maximum value is 1. And what we want to do is we want to make it a latch, because remember we want the light to stay on and then turn off when we press it again. So there is our message set up. Let's click OK. Let's transmit that to the MIDI controller. Right. That's happening, waiting for that to finish. And over here, it's all finished. Now, this view is actually pretty handy because you can see me you'll see me in a second touch this, and you'll see on the left-hand side, the MIDI monitor view. Right, let's do it. So we're gonna press A5, the pad, pressing it. It stayed on, and wow, we've got some stuff spewing out on the screen on the top left-hand corner. And it's all in hexadecimal. What does that mean? Well, if you watched the video on how to calculate hexadecimal, you'll be very, very familiar with this. And also you'll notice that it's actually a MIDI CC message because it's got the 3 columns only showing, okay? So when I pressed it once, it just showed 3 messages all in one hit. So that actually transmitted 3 messages to the device. And that's how NRPNs work. Remember when I said at the start in the first video that it's a block of 4 messages? Well, sometimes it's 3 because it doesn't need the last LSB fine value. In this case, it's just using a coarse value, so it can just leave it off. Now, let's go to this MIDI monitor and have a look what this means. So B0 is telling the controller that we're sending it a MIDI CC and to MIDI channel 0 in hex, which is MIDI channel 1 decimal. The 62 is actually MIDI CC 98, okay? And the 18 is the amount of 24 in decimal. So let's just do a little hex to, remembering when you bring your calculator up, you can change the view to programmer mode here. or press Command 3. Now you can type your decimal value. Remember, if it's 98 in decimal and we press the 16 base, it shows 62. So that's where that 62 value comes from. Now let's do the other one, which was 24, and this should show 18. There it is there. So don't be confused by these numbers. They're just hexadecimal interpretations of our decimal numbers. That's all it is. And on the right hand side, it tells us anyway. Now I've got another MIDI monitor showing, this one's just called MIDI monitor, and it shows us in plain English what's going on here too. So different MIDI monitors will show different levels of information. All right, but what we need to do now is we know that we've set it to 1, which means that the chorus on the device is 1. Let's go and have a look at our, where are we? The circuit editor. All right, down the bottom at the moment, you can see down here, the chorus is set to phaser, but I just need to update the screen. So let's click on Synth 1. There we go. It just reads back from the device. So I actually set that to chorus. Now, if I go back and you can see at the moment it's turned on. If I turn that off, okay, just move that down a bit, you will notice that it's now set over here, the amount to 0. So that means that the chorus should now be set to phaser. So let's go back to transition over here. Right, and we'll just update the synth. And there you go, down the bottom it says phaser. So we've successfully sent one NRPN message to the Novation circuit. And it wasn't really that hard. Once you get your head around all this lingo that people use in the engineering world, it's just deciphering it and working out what it is. Now, there we go, just leave that showing there. So I've turned it on and turned it off, okay? And there's our NRPN message being toggled on and off for chorus type. So let's go back to our view here. This document here that Novation bring out has all these NRPN messages already mapped out for you. So you guys can go crazy. Grab yourself a MIDI controller and start. You could set up like the Roland A Pro has got the sliders and the knobs. You could set up your synth to have an attack, decay, sustain, release envelope, both for the amp and also for the filter. You could set knobs up to be filter cutoff and resonance and a whole bunch of other things, like selecting the type of oscillator you're running. The synth engine is really deep on the Novation circuit. I mean, you can see this software here shows how deep it actually is, but you don't have to use software. If you're like me, you like to be tactile and use knobs and that, you can set it all up yourself. Anyway, that is about all we need to do for this video. If you'd like me to go in more detail on how to set up a particular MIDI device for the Novation circuit, leave a comment below. If you like this video, please give me the thumbs up. Also, don't forget, this is the MIDI series that I'm trying to bring out every Wednesday. I hope you liked this particular one. So yeah, please subscribe. Don't forget that every Wednesday we're going to try and bring out another video on MIDI. If there's something that you want me to cover, please let me know in the comments below. If there's something that I've missed or something that wasn't quite right, also please let me know. I'm not an absolute expert on this stuff, but I'm trying to pass on what I know to you guys, so hopefully you can be better at being that synth guru. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.